Gentlemen, it's very good to be back with you again. If you ask your average American about truth when it comes to the meaning of life or systems of morality, very likely you're going to get an answer that runs something along the lines of, well, we're all different, and if a thing can't be proven mathematically or scientifically, if you believe a thing, then, it's true for you. That's an assumption that pervades American culture and has dominated pop cultural narratives for the better part of 60 years. It runs so deep that for many people, if not most people, it's simply a sort of a given, an assumption never questioned. Now, there are a number of reasons why this is so. One reason, undoubtedly, is that when you say that whatever a person believes is right for them, when you say that, effectively what you're implying is that the same standard applies to you. And there's some very definite benefits to that notion, at least in the short term. When you think of truth as an entirely subjective thing, it lets you off the hook in terms of your personal behavior, your responsibility, your accountability. It's also a convenient dodge that helps you to avoid conflict in social settings. I mean, if nobody's right, then nobody's wrong, so, why argue? So total relativism basically gives you a blank check to do whatever you feel, and it also helps to grease the wheels, so to speak, socially. So it's very convenient and also expedient. But I think another reason why people are skeptical about our ability to know anything for certain, metaphysically speaking, is one that has less to do with self-serving motivations and laziness than a genuine lack of confidence, a lack of faith in reason. At this point in the evolution of Western culture, there exists a very wide consensus that ascertaining truth about realities that we can't see or test empirically is simply not possible. If a thing exists in a realm beyond our five senses, if we can't test it in a lab or quantify it in terms of mathematical formulas, then it's a thing about which we can say nothing for sure. We're just kind of at a loss, guessing, in which case one person's guess is as good as anyone else's. Now, this pernicious doubting of reason actually kind of makes sense if you consider that our educational system as it presently exists doesn't really equip people to reason, at least not beyond the disciplines of math or science. So if a person isn't taught how to think logically at home, they never really learn how to do it. And if you're not well versed in a particular thing, if you're not practiced at its application, well then, of course you're not going to have any faith in it, certainly when it comes to yourself. But the idea that truth can't be known, at least with regards to principles and values, even history, that is an extremely dangerous path, the end point of which is an overwhelming sense of fear and futility and despair about life. Happily, despite the word on the street, despite the common wisdom, truth is knowable through the application of reason, real truth, old school truth with a capital T, objective truth that doesn't give a damn about your feelings or your preferences. Once upon a time, that wasn't generally a thing you had to make a case for. But, of course, nowadays things are different. Now, obviously, life is far too mysterious and complex for us to know the truth about everything. We can't know all truth. But that's actually kind of a moot point. The question is, can a man know any truth? And if so, can he know enough truth to have hope, to live a meaningful life, to stay steady when things are tough, and to have inner peace? Well, there are good reasons to think so. But laying hold of them is predicated on parting ways with fuzzy, magical, or superstitious thinking, which we all do from time to time. And it's hard. Learning how to reason is hard. But consider this. In the long run, learning to think logically, learning to reason is not nearly so hard as living with the dread and the terror that comes from a prolonged preference for fantasy over real life. So, if you're struggling right now with despair or existential angst because you're hungering for a deeper meaning than you're getting from pop culture, if existence itself has you feeling anxious or totally freaked out, you can start turning things around by making a commitment to facts and starting to put a little more faith in reason and trusting it to be a path out of darkness. Now, admittedly, that can be a bit of a trick. It can take a little while to figure out how to do that. So, in closing, I'll leave you with this. I once heard somebody say that if ever there was going to be an 11th commandment, it might as well have been this: thou shalt not kid thyself. It's tough as nails, but it's a great one to live by. Embracing that principle, beginning the process of relinquishing the sweet little lies with which you comfort yourself, but which you ultimately know are not tenable. If you want to start down the path of reason, that is a great first step. Of course, there's so much more to talk about with regards to all these things, but for today, I think I'll just leave it at that. I hope you guys found this encouraging. As always, I'm Marcus McGregor. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. If you'd like to subscribe, go for it. Just remember that you won't be shown new videos when they post unless you also click the notification bell.